What are the rules for using quotation marks? Imagine you're telling a story and want to include what someone else said word for word. How do you show that those are their exact words? That's where quotation marks come into play. They are tiny punctuation marks that tell the reader, hey, these words are not mine, they are someone else's. In English, there are two main styles of quotation marks: double quotation marks and single quotation marks. American English usually uses double quotation marks for most purposes, while British English often prefers single ones. But no matter which style you use, the rules for their use stay pretty consistent. First, whenever you include someone's exact words, you enclose those words in quotation marks. For example, if someone says, "I am hungry," you write it exactly like that with quotation marks around it. This makes it clear that these are their words, not yours. When you start a quotation, you capitalize the first word if it is a complete sentence. For example, she said, "The weather is nice today." But if you are just adding a phrase or a part of a sentence, you do not need to capitalize it. Punctuation placement is important. In American English, commas and periods go inside the quotation marks. For example, "I love ice cream," she said. Even if the punctuation isn't part of the original quote, it still goes inside the marks. In British English, the punctuation is placed outside the quotation marks unless it is part of what was originally said. So it would look like this: "I love ice cream," she said. Question marks and exclamation points are a bit trickier. If the question or exclamation applies to the whole sentence, place it outside the quotation marks. For example, did she say, "I am leaving"? The question mark belongs to the entire sentence. But if the question is part of what she said, put the question mark inside. For example, she asked, "Are you coming?" Colons and semicolons are always placed outside the quotation marks. For example, she read The Great Gatsby. It was her favorite book. Sometimes you need to include a quote within a quote. In that case, use double quotation marks for the main quote and single quotation marks for the quote inside. For example, he said, "My teacher told me, always double-check your work." When you introduce a quote, use a comma before the quotation if it follows a reporting verb like said or explained. For example, he said, "I will be there soon." If you break up a quote with a reporting clause in the middle, put a comma after the first part. For example, "I am tired," she said, "but I will keep going." Knowing these rules helps make your writing clear and correct. Using quotation marks properly shows respect for the original speaker and keeps your writing neat. Remember, always check whether you are using American or British style and follow the rules accordingly. With practice, using quotation marks will become second nature, making your writing more professional and easy to understand.